Now, one of the easiest ways to pace yourself when you're on a really long ride like this,
trying to cross the Atlas Mountains of Morocco,
is to keep tabs on your energy expenditure. Now, you don't want to go too hard, too early. My advice to Si this morning was find a nice, easy gear that you're comfortable to ride in, and then shift up to the next easiest one. Now, it will feel a little bit too easy to start with. However, later on in the day, it will start to make sense, and it'll help you pace much more evenly.
Yeah, now I must say, it was a little bit difficult first thing this morning to do that, but once I got my head around the fact that it wasn't about speed, it was about getting to the destination, actually it was pretty liberating. And what it's meant in practice is that we have been going slowly on the climbs, particularly as we're heavily laden with gear, but then that is also a pretty good excuse as to why we are going slowly. And then the one thing I have had to bear in mind is it's not just about the long climbs, it's about those short little ramps and rises where back home, I'd just get out of the saddle and power over it. But I'm not actually allowed to do that here, but then it doesn't really matter, we've got all day.
And quite often, if you do feel tired when you're riding all day, it's often due to energy levels, low energy levels like that. So it's a really great excuse to stop, have a nice lunch, have a snack, maybe a coffee, and take in the views in the local culture.
Ah yes, energy levels. Now, in order to keep riding all day, you need to keep your energy levels topped up, and that means eating. The general rule of thumb on long rides is to eat little and often, but when we're out all day, as well as doing that, we also need to think about meal times.
A great way to manage your meals is to break the day down into sections. So you want to start your day with a nice big breakfast to give you the energy to see you through to lunch. Keep snacking throughout the morning, and when you get to lunchtime, it's a chance for a big meal. You can enjoy the local cuisine and the local culture, and then the same principles apply after lunch. So keep snacking, keep the energy levels up, and by the time you get to dinner, you would have really earned it. When you're on a multi-day trip, it's important to keep eating early in the trip for the subsequent days. Your natural energy levels will drop as you go onwards, so if you don't eat early, you could really struggle later on.
Right, post-lunch, whilst we're waddling slowly up this quite epic climb, let's take the opportunity to talk about hydration, which is actually arguably more important than getting your food right, because there's some pretty serious health consequences actually getting into a dehydrated state. So the key, if you want to ride your bike all day, is to drink little and often, and when you get thirsty, which in a hot country like Morocco is quite a lot.
You also need to consider storing water on your bike. Now on this trip we've got 700ml bottles, and that's just about enough to see us through. However, on a longer trip or in more remote areas, you may want to consider running a cage underneath the down tube, or carrying a bladder inside your frame pack to give you extra storage. Now in Europe and North America, it's often safe to drink the tap water. However, in more far-flung places, such as Morocco, the tap water isn't always safe to drink. So it's important to try and drink bottled water when you can, or if it's not available, take the appropriate filtering equipment to make water safe. Now that can be a water filter, a UV pen, or just chlorine tablets.
Now, in order to make sure that you are carrying enough food and drink for your whole day ride, you're going to need to plan ahead. Now, depending on where exactly in the world you are, it's going to dictate how much you need to plan. If you're in a really well-developed country with loads of towns and villages, then you're probably not going to need to plan that much. You'll always be able to find stuff. Whereas here in Morocco, and particularly today, we're going through some really, really remote high mountain areas. And so we have had to stock up. We've looked at the map. We reckon that we can probably get lunch, but otherwise we're kind of on our own. So we are stacked full of all the water and all the food that we can carry, particularly given that we've actually got to cook dinner tonight as well.
Yeah, so we've got rice and tuna, just in case. By now you may have noticed the theme. Riding all day is all about management. As well as managing your effort, nutrition and hydration, you need to manage your body. Little things that may not irritate you on a short ride could soon add up over the course of a day and cause bigger irritations.
Yeah, like not putting on sunscreen, for example, or not covering up if the heat is really extreme. The consequences of that can make you pretty uncomfortable and also pretty ill. And even on a cloudy day, you can still get sunburn. So, a golden rule, slap some sun cream on early doors, then top it up as the day wears on. And bear in mind as well, in really extreme conditions, riding all day might not literally mean riding all day. It might be riding first thing in the morning and then getting off the bike and sheltering from the heat of the day before getting back on in the cool of the evening.
It's also important to consider the clothing you're wearing on your bikepacking trip. To make sure it's tried and tested, you're not wearing something new that may be uncomfortable. You may also want to consider the seams. I mean, if you may have a seam that's okay for a short ride, but it may rub over the course of a day. Wearing slightly loose fitting clothing can also be more comfortable as well.
Now finally, as the cliche goes, endurance is a state of mind. If you follow Josh's advice that we've covered in this video, it's going to go a long way to alleviating some of the physical challenges associated with riding all day. But the fact is, if you let it, your mind can make you call it quits a long time before your body does. So staying mentally strong is absolutely key.
A way to manage a ride mentally is to break it down into smaller chunks. So rather than thinking about one big ride that's going to take all day, think about 2 or 3 smaller rides that are broken up with breaks or meals. Now, if you do feel really tired and your mind is beginning to wander and is thinking about quitting or stopping, quite often the best thing to do is to stop, have a rest, eat some food and have a drink. When your energy levels are high, your mind is functioning at its best, and that's when it's going to be strongest.
Seems like food is something of a recurring theme in this video, Josh.
It's a bit of a result, really, isn't it?
Maybe I can ride all day after all. Now do make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Not least because we've ridden up the Chichka Pass in the Atlas Mountains whilst making it. And if you want to see some more content from this bikepacking trip, then why not check out that video just down there.